The most obsolete idea today is this: go to school, get a job, work hard, save money, get out of debt, invest for the long term in the stock market. But think about it. Why would you save money when they're printing trillions of dollars? The gap between the 1% and the 99% is growing wider than ever. And it's not just about money. You have to step back and look at the bigger picture. So what do? Inside every one of us, there's a poor person, a middle-class person, and a rich person. The poor person inside me still exists. The middle-class part of me wants security, a steady paycheck. But the rich person, that one thinks differently. Unfortunately, we're not taught how to tap into that. We're taught to go to school, get a job, and collect a paycheck. But we're not taught how to get rich. If you've read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, you'll know my rich dad refused to pay me. He said the paycheck is one of the most damaging things you can accept in life. Why? Because the moment you take a paycheck, you become an employee. That's a mindset. My rich dad didn't want to be a slave to money. He wanted freedom. As an entrepreneur, if one business fails, I just build another. I don't need a paycheck. I don't need anyone to take care of me. If my government doesn't support entrepreneurs, I'll move to a country that does. Because entrepreneurship isn't just about business. It's a mindset, a skill set, and a different set of rules. If you're an employee or small business owner, your rules are different. Your mindset is different. Your skill set is different. What would I say to someone thinking about becoming an entrepreneur? Let me share my story. I remember my last paycheck clearly. It was both the worst and best day of my life. I was in Puerto Rico working at Xerox. My boss handed me a bonus check, about $30,000. Taxable, of course. I looked at it and thought, holy mackerel. I was excited, but also disturbed. A colleague, John, walked up to me and said, "You'll be back." I asked why. He replied, "Because you'll fail." I looked at him and said, "You failed and came back." I might fail too, but I'm never coming back. That's the mindset. If you think, well, if I fail, I'll go back to mom and dad, that's exactly what you'll do. When I became an entrepreneur, I had no money for years, no paycheck. But that's exactly what my rich dad wanted. When you don't have a paycheck, you get hungrier, smarter. It's a test of your character. Will you cheat, steal, or will you evolve into someone stronger? That's what entrepreneurship does. It reveals who you really are when you have nothing. Too many people focus on what's going to happen to me. You need to look at the big picture. If you think the next 20 years will be like the last 20, you're going to get creamed. We check expiration dates on milk, but most people don't check the expiration date on their thinking. Instead of getting out of debt, I get into debt strategically. I recently refinanced $300 million at 2.5% interest from 5%. My cost of money went down and I made a fortune. While financial experts scream, get out of debt, I say, learn to use it. When I returned from Vietnam in 1973, the first thing my rich dad said was, go to school to learn how to invest in real estate. But the real lesson wasn't real estate. It was this: use debt and taxes to your advantage. Debt and taxes make the rich richer and the poor and middle class poorer. Doctors, lawyers, they're getting crushed by taxes. One of my doctor friends proudly told me he made $1 million. I asked, how much did you pay in taxes? He said, $750,000. So he netted just $250,000. When I make $1 million, I keep all of it because I don't work for money. That's the first lesson in Rich Dad, Poor Dad. The rich don't work for money. We build businesses. We invest in real estate. We don't rely on the stock market. Why? Because we want control over our income and taxes. As a real estate investor and entrepreneur, I pay zero tax. I put $1 million into real estate, and the bank gives me $4 million. That's leverage. That's smart debt. But the truth is this: when they print money, savers lose and debtors win. If you work for money, you get taxed. If you save money, it loses value. The old rules no longer apply. The world changed in 1971 when Nixon took us off the gold standard. Money became debt. And what about school? Education is still important, but obsolete in its current form. Moore's Law tells us that information now doubles every 18 months. That means by the time you graduate, your education is already outdated. Banks don't want your money. They're charging interest to save because they've printed too much of it. And yet people still chase high-paying jobs. They believe in getting out of debt. They know nothing about taxes. That's why the 1% is up here and the 99% are being crushed by inflation and taxes. Most entrepreneurs in America are solo, one-person shows, but they're not truly entrepreneurs. They're self-employed, and they pay the highest taxes of all. That's the truth nobody tells you. There's no such thing as a bad economy. There's the external economy and your internal economy. The real power is within. It's your mindset. You can fall down, but true entrepreneurs stand up and go even higher. A weak mindset fears failure, and failure finds them. But if you build strength inside, you control your economy, no matter what's happening outside. The first job of a true entrepreneur? Control what's inside here before worrying about out there. If this message resonated with you, it's time to take control of your mindset and your future. Like this video. If it inspired you, share it with someone who needs to hear the truth. Subscribe to Echo of Hope for more powerful insights that challenge the status quo. Remember, savers are losers. Cash is trash, and the new economy belongs to those who adapt.